guys? Happy Monday. What's going on? As always, hope you're all well, and that you had a good weekend. But it's Monday, we're back into the swing of things. It's 4:56. I was able to squeak out a few minutes early from work, so that's always nice. So, pretty solid day at work. Like I said, back into the swing of things. Mondays are kind of one of the, if not the easiest day of the work week. And was pretty occupied for the first half of the work day, which is always nice. It went by kind of fast. Had a late lunch, and then because I had a late lunch, kind of have a short, or at least shorter, second half. So day kind of flew by. I was pretty occupied for a good most of it, so that's always good. Yeah, other updates, not really too much. TikTok should be up. I know I said this in Friday's video if you saw, but TikTok should be up pretty soon. Again, I'm getting pretty close. The finish line is ever so slowly just looming into sight. So that should be up in the next couple of days. I know it's kind of funny, the whole like I'll make minimum of like 5 YouTube videos before I maybe get like a TikTok up. Not really too worried about it. I know like the ratio again is kind of off, but not really too worried about it. It'll just always mean that I have something, you know, to do and to work on and to look forward to in a way. So it's all's good with that. Not really too worried about the TikTok process being much slower than say the YouTube is. I was walking out of the office, and I was like right next to this guy once we got to the lobby who was and then he was like speed walking. He seemed to be in like a very big rush for some reason. And at first I was kind of like curious as to, you know, why he was in a big rush, you know, like again, this is like a more suburban campus, office campus, business campus, whatever you want to call it. So almost all the people, you know, just take cars here. They just drive here. So I was a little curious as to why this guy was in such a big rush, unless he's maybe trying to beat traffic. Like, I don't know. That was kind of like the most reasonable thing that came to into my head. But I was kind of curious as to why this guy seemed to be in such a big of a rush. You know, so turns out, you know, he's speed walking. He passes me, and then we exit the building, and you know, I go my way towards the parking garage, and he books a right, and he's like speed walking. He's actually jogging. He picked up the pace a little bit, and he was actually jogging / running down the sidewalk in another direction. And the direction he's heading is the direction of the campus, the business campus shuttle that we have here. And pretty much like what it does is it's this like little bus that takes you to and from these major bus stops or train stations in the area. So I kind of realized pretty quickly that you know, he was in a rush to catch the bus, to catch the shuttle. So yeah, kind of just reminded me, you know, to be thankful and be grateful for what I have, you know, which is a very good location of where my house is compared to the office, and the fact that, you know, I have a car and I can drive to and from the office kind of on my own schedule. I'm not running on someone else's schedule, or say like the shuttle schedule. You know, I'm kind of running on my schedule, and because of that, I don't have to, it's one less thing to worry and to stress about at the end of the day, which it's always nice, you know, when that list is as short as possible. So kind of just seeing that guy stressing out and in a rush just reminded me, you know, of how grateful and how thankful I should be more often, if that makes sense. So here we are, a little more grateful and thankful than we were about 10 minutes ago. So yeah, I guess just take that as a reminder to keep being grateful and thankful for as much as you possibly can, because you really do have so much more and so many less troubles, I should say, than probably 99% of people in this world. So just remember that every now and then if you think you're having a bad day or anything like that. But yeah, other than that thought I had literally walking out of the office to my car, call it a case of the Mondays if you want, but I really couldn't think of anything to talk to you guys about for pretty much the whole day. Again, I was able to squeak out a few minutes early from the office, and before I did that, I kind of just sat back in my chair and tried to think for a few minutes of, what I could potentially talk to you guys about today. And it really wasn't until 2 minutes before I left that something popped into mind that I can try to throw out and run with. So that's what we're gonna do today. I got one thing in my head, turned out to be two, with the man who's in a rush. But yeah, so I got one thing in my head that I'm gonna lob out to you guys and take a swing at it and see where it goes. And if I can carry it out for a whole video, awesome. If I can't, then we'll just wing it a little bit towards the end. So again, nothing bad about that whatsoever. But yeah, so again, even though today, like I kind of mentioned in the very beginning of the video, today wasn't a very stressful or difficult day at all. There was this one thing that I was working on, and it was a thing where it was almost too simple and too easy, if that makes sense to you. It was something that that realistically could have taken maybe half an hour to do, but for me it took honestly an hour or two. And honestly, I think the reason was because it was so simple and so straightforward that I was psyching myself out in a way and thinking that it was a lot more complicated and difficult than it actually was. And I hate to say it because I say it much too often, but I kind of psyched myself out with the whole thing. I think I was just kind of looking at it too much and thinking about it too much and all that kind of stuff. And again, in my own head, I made it to be a lot more complex and difficult than it should have been. And it ultimately worked out in the end, because what happened was, after just staring at it and thinking about it for so long, my brain was it felt like my brain was just like a pile of mush after a while. I just I don't know, it was all foggy, and I just didn't know what to do, what else to do from there. And I still wasn't getting the results that I should have with what I was working on. And I don't know, I was too far too gone, or too far in the, I don't know what you want to call it, but yeah. So what happened was, I called over the help of one of my teammates, one of my coworkers, to look at it and maybe try to give me some guidance and point me in the right direction. So he looked at it for a few minutes, and then almost right away was able to tell me what I was doing wrong and what I guess wasn't looking at correctly, and he was pretty much able to solve my problem with almost instantly. And of course, maybe just me having a bit of an ego, a little bit. Again, I'm always trying to minimize that as much as possible, but for a solid second, I felt a little dumb in the moment, but really, immediately after, I was very thankful that he was able to point it out super fast and kind of put me on the right path so that I could effectively get it done correctly this time. And so that's what happened. I called up some backup, and they showed me what's up and what to do and how to actually think compared to how I was currently thinking. And from there, just took another minute or two to kind of detach from everything and kind of clear up my mind and get myself out of that little hole, that little rut, whatever you want to call it. And after that, put myself back in my chair and to work in it again. And it took maybe 10 minutes to do it right after that. So again, learn from me and learn not to do that in a way. Just totally lost my train of thought for a second, so bear with me. Oh my God, I'm totally blanking right now. I apologize, but yeah, if you're doing like really anything in general, it doesn't have to be anything specific. I'm just, telling a story here of what happened to me. But if you're ever doing anything, in your daily life and you just can't figure it out for some reason and grasp and understand what's going on, and you can't get the result that you want, and you feel like you're just kind of driving yourself crazy looking at the same thing for so long. If that's going on and that's the case, just realize it, recognize it and detach yourself from the situation. Mentally step away from it, physically step away from it. And if you can, an extra bonus is, don't be afraid to ask for help. If there's someone that you can reach out to that knows more about whatever you're doing than what you do, just ask for their opinion or ask for a helpful eye and see what they have to say. And I think the combination of those two things kind of very similar to what happened with me. To be able to step away from something and get someone else's view and opinion and perspective on it, and then coming back to it after allowing myself to, both mentally and physically step away from it for a few minutes. It really kind of gave me a fresh reset, a fresh restart, a blank canvas in a way to get back into it and do it right that time. And in doing so, even though it took far too longer in general to get done, by the time I did, realize to step away and ask for help, it ultimately went by a lot faster. And because of that, of course I now know what to do. And that, say if I were to do that task again for work, I wouldn't know what to do this time and be able to do it far more efficiently and effectively, which is always good. But also just a good little lesson to learn, or at least a good reminder to give to myself that, again, I know I'm repeating myself, but if you ever kind of feel stuck or in a hole, or I don't know, you feel like you're driving yourself crazy with something or anything that I'm kind of missing or forgetting to say, just remember to detach yourself from everything and try to loop in someone else for some help. And I think that ultimately solved the problem in general, as well as help you out. Very much so. So yeah, that's what I got. I do kind of, hopefully you understood everything I kind of just threw at you. It was kind of like, wasn't the most organized thing, and again, my mind's kind of slow right now. But yeah, I do kind of like that story, because I'm not telling you guys about something good or any success that I had, and what you could take and learn from that. I'm actually telling you something more, I don't want to say negative, but more of a failure that I had in a way. I'm telling you guys about a time where, I wasn't ultimately, say, successful or perfect, or was like the poster child or something. I'm telling you guys kind of the opposite. So I do kind of like the whole humility behind that. You know, again, I'm no perfect human being. I'm no golden child or whatever it is you want to call it. You know, I'm a normal person. You know, I make mistakes. I make a lot of mistakes, but you know, I always try to look back and learn from them and become a better person in some way, shape, or form because of it. So yeah, that's why I at least kind of like that story. And it kind of brings me to this other random thing that I've always had in the back of my mind for a good amount of years now. And so I guess I'll tell the story to elongate this video a little more, to drag it out a little more. But so back in high school, I want to say this is the summer going into my junior year of high school. And so again, if you know anything about me, you know that I played a sport in college. And so because I played a sport in college, I had to go through the whole recruiting process throughout high school. And the major points for recruiting for someone like me going through the process, it was always during the summer, when you're doing a bunch of, you know, individual showcases, and you have your club team, and your club team is doing all these tournaments, and you're kind of bouncing all over the place all the time in the summer, which is, it's always really cool looking back, but you know, in the moment it does inevitably get pretty draining, both mentally and especially physically too, since you're playing almost all the time. But I remember I went to this one showcase. It was like a multi-day. It was like a long weekend kind of showcase, and it was hosted at this college campus, this Division I college campus in Massachusetts, and it was like a sleepaway showcase, and it was a pretty serious one. Like you had to almost be like handpicked in a way and receive this like personalized invitation to play at this showcase, and again it was like a multi-day showcase. It was like a weekend, or maybe like a long showcase, and it was sleepaway, and every day and every hour of the day they had like something planned for you, whether you know it was little meetings or events with coaches or other lacrosse figures, or you know, of course, games and practices with your showcase team, to any other miscellaneous stuff that had going on. They had a schedule for the whole multi-day showcase, which was pretty cool, the way that they set it up. And I remember on one of the days, or specifically one of the nights, after everyone was done playing for the day, and we all had dinner and all that, we were pretty much winding down for the day. They called us all into this one building on the campus to listen to a speaker. And I can't remember exactly who the speaker was or everything that he said, but I remember this one thing that he told us, and I remembered it. If I remembered it since my sophomore year of high school, or my rising junior year of high school, I should say, I think I'm gonna remember it for much longer too, which is good, because I really do like what he said, and pretty much the gist of what he told us, at least in the one part of the talk that he gave us, was that the word fail really is an acronym, and the acronym that FAIL stands for is First Attempt in Learning. FAIL, First Attempt in Learning, FAIL. And he went on to explain that a little more to us. And I remember just from the moment that he spoke it, that those words left his lips, I really put a pin in that and held on to that. I really resonated with what he said. And I do think it's a really good message to share, especially with anyone who's watching this video, is that, you know, everyone always hears the word failure or sees something that they define as a failure and automatically thinks of it as, you know, a bad thing and really one of the worst things possible, something that should always be avoided at all times, and you know, should never be part of one's life. You know, it's a horrible, horrible thing, and it should never happen. When really, I think it's a much better attitude to embrace imperfection in a way, and in doing so, embrace failure. You know, because failure is exactly just the acronym behind it. It's the first attempt in learning. You know, failure is kind of like it's a necessity on the way to success. And I think anyone who has been successful in any way, in any aspect of their life, would probably agree with that. That before they were successful, they had to fail probably a lot more than they had really originally wanted or planned to. And the reason for that, whether, you know, they or you guys see it before, was that failure really is just the first attempt in learning. You know, you fail, and, you know, of course it feels awful in the moment, and you hate the feeling, and it sucks. But what it gives you that's very unique and very empowering is it gives you pretty much the best opportunity you can ask for to learn and to improve yourself in whatever situation or circumstance you're in for the better. So in the future, when the same thing happens, you know, you can make the most of it and come out successful at the end of it, and really just put yourself one step closer to whatever it is, goal, dream, ambition, vision, whatever it is that you got going on in your mind, brings you one step closer to that at the end of the day. So again, I think that's a good thing to share with you guys, and just to remember whenever you think you're struggling or something didn't go your way and you're rather upset about it, just remember that fail simply means first attempt in learning. So yeah, let's see, do I got anything else to say? Not really too sure. Yeah, so I guess just kind of connecting one more time this whole talk of fail and failure to what happened with me today at work. You know, if you want to put it that way, you can say that I failed at that certain task that I was doing. You know, but you know, ultimately it worked out in the end. I was able to detach and ask for help and get back to it and be successful because of that. And in doing so, after being successful, you know, I was able to look back and recognize and see that I failed, but also just, you know, just remember and tell myself that, hey, you know, don't worry, don't stress too much about it. Like, all is good. First attempt in learning, you know, all is well. Like, you'll be all right. Sure, it sucked, but you learned, and then so next time this happens, you know, you're gonna do just fine, and you're not gonna do just fine. You're gonna do really great. So yeah, again, just learn from me and my many imperfections, and try to implement that into your own life if you can. And it's helped me a lot with a lot of things. So hey, if I'm just a normal guy, then I'm sure it'll help you a lot in a lot of different ways too. But I'm home now. I'm gonna leave you guys with that. Remember that there's a lot more to it than you think. Remember to ask me questions. If you're going through tough times, just get through it and think back and try to learn as much as you can, and apply it to yourself, and to make yourself just a little bit better the next day. Yeah, as always, hope you guys are doing well, and we will talk tomorrow, Tuesday. So yeah, talk soon. Bye.